Elliot's editing this video, take one.
Do I need to clap?
You can if you want to, Chris.
Alright, I'll do it for you. There you go.
Thank you.
Stole my clap.
Hello and welcome back to the WePC Podcast. As always, I'm Elliot, and that doesn't change. My name is always Elliot, and we're here this week talking about mods. Now, if you haven't seen our Monday Mods series on WePC, you can go and check that out. There'll be a link in the description below, and we've got the guy who curates that with us is Lewie.
Yeah, I'll be Lewie today, and I'll talk about some mods. Why not?
Thank you, Lewie. And Chris as well, one of our video team aficionados.
Yep, I have used a mod once or twice.
So we have the perfect team for this episode. You know, we've kind of been hit or miss on episodes so far. We've had Danielle, who can't remember things on a podcast about gaming memories, and Will, who doesn't listen to things on a podcast about sound. So I think we've got a good one this time. So let's see how this goes. So Lewie, talk to us a little bit about Monday Mods and what the whole thing about it is.
Yeah, sure. The ethos behind it.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll dive a little into that. So, yeah, I mean, to me, mods has always been one of the biggest strengths of PC gaming specifically because, you know, it's like your machine, you can decide what you want to do on it and you can install whatever you want, and whether that's something that maybe the original developers never thought of, maybe like it's an old game that there's new hardware that it can take advantage of or anything like that. To me, that's always one of the great strengths of PC gaming. So that's the kind of the idea, highlight and showcase some of the interesting mods that are coming out on a regular basis.
And Chris, you've used a mod. Yeah?
Yes.
Okay,
that's
good.
True.
This is what we like. This is great.
I thought you were going somewhere with that, but no.
Well, the first topic that we're going to discuss is funniest mods that you've seen. So I think it's best to probably start with Lewie on this, since he does curate mods for us, and it gives you a little bit of time. Unless you've got
I'm
notes.
prepared this
You've
week.
got
He
notes.
does look pretty prepared, to be fair.
Whoa,
Yeah.
what is this? The last time you came to a podcast, you sat there and you were like, a little bit. Because I told you that you wouldn't need to prepare, that it'd just come to you, and it didn't. So, kind of good job on preparing this week, Chris. But we'll start with Lewie, since he does the mods. So, Lewie, what do you think the funniest mod is that you've seen out there?
Sure. So, I mean, definitely one of the iconic ones that, you know, to me, it feels like it takes me back to my childhood as well. Because obviously I was a huge fan of Thomas the Tank Engine as a kid, as many of us were. And so that Skyrim mod, where you just get Thomas the Tank Engine in there, and it doesn't make any sense. There's no reason or logic to it, but Thomas the Tank Engine in Skyrim. What more do you need?
I don't think you need any more than that, but I've seen the mod. I've not actually played the only sort of modding I do is, and people are going to hate me for saying this, is on consoles. And I don't delve into PC gaming for mods. I use Skyrim mods on the PS4 and Fallout and stuff.
They finally opened that up. Sony were the last ones to jump on the mod console bandwagon.
Yes, they were, and I loved it.
I mean, Skyrim in general, and sort of all of the Bethesda Game Studios games. You know, I love these games, but they often have a bunch of little problems or little complaints that there's usually a mod to fix, whether that's like the UI or the map kind of sucks. And you've got this great game world, but there's a few issues like that. But they're also just a great space for people to be creative with coming up with their own ideas for things. And so it kind of makes sense that these were one of the first games that they started doing mods on consoles for as well. But yeah, I think they really benefit from having access to different mods.
What kind of mods then do you think are best? Do you think it's the more creative mods that allows you to play something that is creative, is out there, is never before seen, or do you think it's the ones that enhance the entire experience as a whole? So like, for instance, on GTA, if you were to get a 4K mod and you've got all of the actual cars in there by their actual names and not just the
license cars,
stuff like that obviously enhances your gameplay. But also at the same time, you have ones where, like in Skyrim, one mod I've played is basically the Fresh Start mod, where you choose your own adventure. You're not stuck to going down the path that you've played 15, 20 times before if you've played it on the last 4 generations that it's come out on. And it's literally just, for me, that allowed me to expand into what genuinely was a new game in a setting that I knew well.
Yeah, I mean, I love it all. Like bring it all on. I don't, whatever you're in the mood for, find that. Like, there's definitely cases where a mod makes me, enjoy a game loads more, even, its original form, but they've just sort of fixed a few things or tweaked a few things. So they're not trying to make a huge change to the vision of the original developers. And then, you've got other ones throwing in crazy things like Thomas the Tank Engine. I love them all. Like, bring it all on, yeah.
And then, so what do you think that is the funniest mod you've seen, if you've got one on your notes?
Yeah, so I've got a few. Most of these are ones that I've seen rather than play, because I myself, if I mod a game, I'm not after a funny time.
It's very serious business.
It's very serious business for me, yeah. But I'll watch someone else that's modded their game to be funny. So funny ones that I've seen would be there was a cutscene in there's a Games Done Quick event. Awesome Games Done Quick is the winter one. And there was a BioShock one, and he modified one of the cutscenes to be a blue screen of death. Now, this was funny at the time when... Well, that one was a blue screen. Actually, no, it wasn't. It was a Windows update, because this was back when Windows Update was a big issue. Windows 10 would just, force an update. People were in the middle of work. And the funny thing is, here, this is a marathon event, and it's like, well, there goes everything. That was pretty funny. So he modified the cutscene there to... It was a fake blue screen or a fake Windows
I do feel
update.
like some speedrunners probably are going to be able to trigger a Windows update to skip a section of a game or something, right? And cause a bug or something.
But other than that, so cutscene mods are obviously funny. I know there's the one in Donkey's video where in The Witcher 3 he just spawns in 1,000 animals during a cutscene. And it's just stuff like that. It's a serious moment, we're talking about serious stuff, and then you've just got 1,000 animals chirping and screaming and growling.
There's the Henry Cavill Witcher 3 mods as well, right? I think it's him and a couple of other cast members from the Netflix show that they make you look like them in the game, which that's a pretty cool idea.
But the streams that I watch on Twitch, the item randomizers and enemy randomizers, they're pretty funny. I'd hate to play that myself because I've still not finished Dark Souls, but... You can set the seed and you can basically say be really unfair, so you can have it hide key items in super super to reach areas, and it'd be the last place you'd think to check. But it's intelligent enough that it's got algorithms built in, so it doesn't soft lock you. So it's you need the item, but the item's the thing that it unlocks. And it's well, you wouldn't be able to get that.
I'm following you.
It figures all that out, and it's good, but it's just funny to watch. But it's even funnier when you watch people get annoyed by it, I have to say.
I think that's the whole point of a funny mod, is not to be there to actually be funny. It's there to elicit annoyance more than anything, because I hate it whenever I'm in a game, I put a mod in and it's a fake mod. And it's something that I try to mod my Skyrim entirely to be Lord of the Rings, because I'm a big Lord of the Rings fan.
It's the medieval setting, it's right.
Yeah, they're
it's not far off, I guess. Yeah, it wouldn't take too much.
Medieval setting, and then introduced the actual One Ring, which was 999,999 health and everything
probably
that.
Quite high value as well, right?
Very high value. And then all of the swords and all of the skins for the characters. And then I played as Gandalf, and I got Gandalf's staff, and I was a mage, and I was this is great. And then I just see this really weird sort of mod come along, and I'm I need that. I need that. It was something like the Council of Elrond extra mod, and inside of it was just a Saruman that would chase you around the map. And I sat there, I was what the hell is going on? For one, this is hilarious, but also at the same time, please leave me alone. Why are you doing this to me? And then, because I didn't know where it'd come from either, I just thought, there's a glitch somewhere, or I've not installed something properly, or it's an NPC that I've stolen some bread from, or killed their chicken or something like that, and it's just chasing me to the high heavens.
I think I can't remember which game, but there was definitely a game that had an anti-piracy measure that did that. It'd have an NPC that would just follow you and kill you endlessly.
See, I love anti-piracy measures of mods, because things I've played Game Dev Tycoon, which is Green Heart Games, and if you torrented that game, they released a torrented version of the game themselves. No one knew it was them who released it, but they put a mod in it, which basically meant that once you'd reached past the first level, people would start pirating your games and you'd make no money from the game whatsoever. And it was just like a little, it was a complete FU to everybody. And I just love stuff like that. I think that's a useful mod. Yeah. And our next topic is...
Well, so I do have one more funny one I want to sneak in as well, though. Because there is... This one's pretty good, I think. There's the Half-Life 2 mod, where the mod creator replaced all the in-game sound effects with his own voice. So when you've got the pistol shooting and he goes pew pew pew, and like every single sound in the entire game is replaced by a guy just saying it.
And the reload is.
Yeah,
that must be brilliant. See, I've never played any of the Half-Life games.
Okay,
so
maybe if you do, check out this.
Definitely get that mod, because that sounds like something that just takes a game to the next level. Like having somebody go, just that sound alone is a
the rocket launcher.
So much stuff you can do with mods. I love it.
I have one sneaking as well.
Come on, Chris.
One is again on Dark Souls. It's actually the Dark Souls 3 poorly translated edition. There's also one for the original Dark Souls, which is it's the same sort of thing as the Dark Souls poorly translated edition, but on Dark Souls 3. And they just run all the text through Google Translate multiple times in different languages, and then just put that text back into the game. But then they go a step further and actually put all the text, any voice lines, in text-to-speech. So all of it is just poorly translated, and it's hilarious because I think the description of the mod describes it best. Can't understand all the hidden lore in the item descriptions of Dark Souls? This mod will destroy any hint of lore in text, so you don't have to feel bad. What?
I'm just loving the fact that you've come to this podcast fully written down on pieces of paper, not like you've saved it on a screenshot on your phone or something, but you've written out word for word the description of the mod. That is just next level. Like, that is commitment to this podcast, Chris.
I feel like I was unprepared for the last one.
I don't think you were unprepared. I think I caused you to be unprepared.
I think you knew that I was coming extremely prepared as well.
You did message me beforehand and you were like,
these are all
the ones I'm talking about. I'm like, okay.
I just sat here watching Chris. If you are watching this on YouTube, you'll see it. If you're on the podcast on Spotify, Apple Music, we're also now on Google Podcasts as well. We're on 7 different podcasting platforms now. Come at us, Joe Rogan Experience, with your Spotify exclusive. Like,
can I just interject on this as well? It might be worth subscribing and liking, and if you click that bell, then you'll know when we've got new videos coming up.
That is yeah. Jay loves you right now, like, and Chris. I forget your part. Chris is I just do benchmarks. I'm just here for that. Benchmarks are useful though, Chris. Benchmarks are useful. And speaking of being useful, God, I'm just great at these segues. What do you think the most useful mods that you've seen are? So I'm going to start with you, Chris.
Me? Okay.
You've surprised me with your preparedness.
Right. I don't want to steal Louis' thunder.
Oh, no, you go ahead. I have backups and everything.
You have backups, right. So, the biggest one was DS Fix for Dark Souls, and I feel like I'm just going to talk about Dark Souls the entire episode. I'm sorry. But DS Fix, like you said...
I mean, you don't have to quote me.
I just don't want to steal your thunder. It's not...
Okay, no, go for it, yeah. If anyone thinks this is smart, I came up with it, but I'm not accepting any responsibility if he's about to say something dumb. Go.
So, yeah, obviously, Dark Souls was notorious. I think it was like one of the first Japanese games that got ported over to like the Western audience. So...
not the first, but I think it was in response to like a petition. It was like there was demand.
I think there was definitely a petition that forced it, and it was notorious because during that time, what was it, like 2010, 2011, PC ports are terrible, and I think Japanese developers are known for having these kind of like sketchy.
Yeah, there was a few exceptions, like Capcom would do some good ones around that time, but I think there just wasn't the culture of PC gaming.
Yeah, it was never. It's just the sales aren't there, so they never focused on it.
Yeah,
and it's like, oh, there actually is a demand. Let's port the game, and then people had the game, and then people were like, well, this sucks. So like the biggest problems, it was limited to 720p consoles,
And what was crazy is it would let you pick a different resolution, but it was just upscaling the internally rendered 720p.
Yes,
image.
it was like a fake resolution.
Yeah.
The frame rate wouldn't be any higher than 30 because, again, consoles. So this DS fix by Durante actually fixed all this. So you can choose any internal resolution, you can downsample, you can unlock it to 60 frames per second. But there is an issue. If you slide down ladders, you will fall through the world. So don't slide down the ladders if you use this mod.
Yeah, that's the real Dark Souls there, right?
That's the true Dark Souls experience.
And that is directly verbatim from Louis' Monday Mod series.
I mean, it's interesting. You mentioned Durante, the creator specifically. He's done similar mods for a few different games, although the Dark Souls one is the most high profile. And I think he works now on a consultancy basis for a few different developers when they're putting together their PC ports. So it's a good example of like someone coming from the mod community and to more sort of professional game development, which is pretty cool as well.
I think he actually he does spots for PC Gamer now because he recently did an analysis of Persona 4's port.
We'll be barring out that name.
Yeah, I thought you would.
That name will be
Gamer, PC.
PC Guide.
PC Guide. Anyway, it just adds other graphical fixes and lets you rescale the HUD, which is the biggest thing that I wanted. But actually, I just wanted to point out that the main version, if you go to the Nexus mods page and you download the main version, which is 2.4, you will have like stuttering if you install texture mods. 2.5 is what you want.
I'm sorry, you've done so much research, you've got so in depth, and I'm really living for it.
Yeah, I didn't do any research into like version numbers or issues with textures.
It's literally the fact it's written.
And I do also kind of think, like, off the back of how well Dark Souls eventually did on PC, when it came to PC, like now I think there's probably as many players on PC as there are on consoles for that series. Like, and there's a big fan base for these type of games on PC now.
Yeah,
that, I mean, perhaps without this mod might not have developed in the same way.
I think, because this mod is what you'd class as essential, and it's like you just don't play Dark Souls without installing this mod.
Yeah.
But like you said, I think because of that, and then people have this more acceptable experience of, yes, it's 1080p and it's 60 frames a second. It's what a PC game should be, standard.
Mm-hmm.
They focus, people buy it more, and you can tell like Dark Souls 3 is quite optimized now, and they've obviously put thought into the PC game, and it's not just an afterthought. Like,
and that's because they had the sales numbers. Like they were like, okay, there is a big audience for these games here, so we'll do it properly.
We can't definitively say, but I think the mod definitely helped in that regard.
And then we'll go to Louis on his most useful mod since...
I was going to do Dark Souls. But,
since Chris has nicked his main one, let's see what backups he's got.
So, I mean, this is a fairly minor thing, and I don't know, some people might not like this, but I'm not afraid to be controversial on this. So there's the Metal Gear Solid 5, all those wait timers for unlocking, it was like unlocking other equipment and weapons and things like this. They wanted you to spend a bit of money to speed them up, but you could also just download a mod that made them all unlock instantly. So you still needed to do whatever the requirements were for unlocking it, but you didn't just have to sit and wait for hours. So when I was playing Metal Gear Solid 5 on PC, I didn't have to even think about these timers for unlocking equipment. Whereas if you're on console, you've got no choice. You either pay up some money or you wait. And
I don't know about that, Louis. I think that is the most controversial opinion we've ever had on this podcast.
Some people say you shouldn't do a mod that replicates something that is a paid functionality. Like I've never had a problem with that, but some people say that's the same as piracy, which I don't feel that way. But
you've already paid for it. In my opinion, once you've paid for a game, everything in that game should be accessible to you for free. Mm-hmm. Like, I agree with like DLCs and things like that. Like, more content, more money, sure.
So what if the DLC is packaged up with the original install, but you have to pay to unlock it, and then you bypass that with the mod? How do you feel about that? Well, it's kind of like a grey area.
That's obviously piracy.
Yeah, that's obviously piracy.
You think?
Yeah. I think because you're meant to be paying for something there. They've spent that in a way that even if it is annoying, you're meant to be paying for it. I was supposed to be paying for these timers to go faster.
But that's not content.
But that's not content.
I mean, the weapons, someone modeled that, right? That's not how I feel, but I think it is you can argue it. It's a grey area.
This has turned out to be quite a controversial topic.
I told you. See,
I think
get beneath the surface.
wait time has just come from mobiles, don't they? It's just a mobile microtransaction, and it's quite plain on the surface that it's not content. It's just money. We want money, so you don't have to sit here and wait a day.
Okay, so I've got another example along these lines. Then see how you feel about this one. So there's Dead Space 2. Now, Dead Space 2 released on PC and consoles. Now, on the consoles, there was also a spin-off game that if you unlocked a certain thing on the spin-off game or achieved certain things in the spin-off game, it would unlock stuff in Dead Space 2. That spin-off game never got a release on PC. It was only on consoles. So the only way to access that extra content in Dead Space 2 on PC is with a mod that unlocks it and makes your save file say, oh yeah, you did complete that stuff in the spin-off game, and then you can access these other areas. How do you feel about that?
See, that I kind of think is okay, because for me, it's not your fault.
Right, that's pretty much how I feel as well.
I mean, if it was the fact that that's the previous game and everything that you had to do on the previous game was accessible to you on the same platform, I think once you've moved to a different platform, if you're then requiring extra content to be based on something that was never there to begin with, then it's almost like a little bit of unfairness towards a community.
Yeah.
Like, why would you put time into all of that extra content to then not give it away? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know how you feel about that, Chris. You're giving me some stares.
I think they never released a way for you to pay for it. So if there's content there and it's like, well, it wasn't released as a season pass or an expansion pack or whatever, then it's free game.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much how I feel, but it is one of those things I think everyone has to maybe make their own mind up about, what is acceptable to them, where do they draw the line. But I'm generally with the view of like, if there's accessing like copyrighted files, right? You go on a torrent site and just grab something. That's pretty clear-cut piracy.
I've never done that.
Which I would, I'd never do, never advocate for anyone doing. It's highly illegal. But there is stuff that's more in the grey area where there's like, if there's no official way of accessing this content, then you find whatever way you can, things like that.
Yes, kids, don't torrent. But if you are going to torrent, please seed. Like, it's the only advice I have for you.
If you are going to torrent, check out our sponsor, NordVPN.
Has that message been approved by NordVPN?
That message has not been approved by NordVPN.
Craig was saying something like we had a NordVPN sponsor or something.
This video was sponsored by Raid Shadow.
I would like to clarify for the record that we are not sponsored by anybody. This is entirely an in-house production. However, we do welcome sponsorship. If there is anybody listening who would like to pay us to do this, please do. So, we're going to move on to the next topic after that awkward sponsorship chat. Thanks, Chris. But the next topic is any mod that has got you to revisit an older game that you haven't played in a while and you thought, this is going to be interesting. So, Lewie.
Sure, yeah. So there's, it's a game that I did play originally unmodded around not long after the original release. And as much as I enjoyed it, it definitely had a lot of problems. And I think probably a lot of people had similar experience. I'm talking about Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines, which is it's a game with brilliant writing, like a really interesting premise, and really fun mechanics, but a lot of technical problems. And famously, the development studio was sort of shut down before even release, right? So they didn't really get to finish it. And over the years, it sort of gradually progressed. There's like a community, it's called the Unofficial Patch or something along these lines, where they've just sort of fixed as many of the technical problems in the game as they can. And with this, it now runs pretty smooth. Like it's still a little bit dated because it's from quite a long time ago. I think, what was it, like 2006 or something? And but yeah, now it runs much better. You don't have all the crashes. You don't have so many bugs, and it makes this game that was still interesting but held back by technical problems kind of gets them out of the way, and now you can appreciate the game for what it should have been back when it was originally released.
Kushki. We like that. We love a good answer like that. Chris.
Well, I was just going to ask. So it's mostly just like a bug fix sort of patch.
Yeah, I think there's a few things where it's like cut content that's been restored as well. Like there's maybe a couple of bits of dialogue that they didn't, and for whatever reason they didn't include it, or maybe a couple of characters or a couple of little things like that. You know, it's so long since I played the original and then the modded version, it's hard to know for sure. But yeah, there's a few little tweaks here and there where they have had some, like artistic creative freedom and made a few small changes, but they're trying to just sort of restore it to as it should have been when it first came out.
Yeah, because on that creative freedom, there's what's that one? There's Half-Life 2. There's Half-Life 2 update, which is just it updates the graphics and it's very in keeping. But then there's another one that's probably more famous, and all the character models are questionable.
Yeah, I think I know the one you mean. Do all the female characters have like a lot of makeup on in that one?
Yeah, and they're wearing less clothes than
less clothes and a lot of makeup. Yeah.
I can't remember what that one's called, and it's like
HD or something.
I think
Half-Life
it is,
HD or something like that.
And it's creative freedom gone wild, basically.
Yeah,
I'd say so. But
so is that a mod that's made you go back and revisit an old game?
yeah, definitely.
Chris saw the words less clothes, more makeup, and went, that is the mod for me.
Yeah, no, when it comes to mods, I'm like very true to the original intention. So it's always like...
So you'll never like divert away from...
No, not unless...
You won't put Thomas the Tank Engine as Alduin.
No, not unless the Skyrim developers have come out and said, oh, actually, and then explain the lore behind Thomas the Tank Engine. But no.
Thomas is a dragon from the 13th century of Morrowind, and he came over chewing straight away into the Skyrim world, and that's what would make you go and...
I'm like, okay.
I will say there is like surprising amounts of existential horror in Thomas the Tank Engine, the original series. Like, is it Henry or Percy that gets? It's like an Edgar Allan Poe. He gets trapped in a tunnel. I don't know if anyone's seen that one. He gets like bricked up into a tunnel and just left there forever.
I'm not being funny about it. It's been a while since I've seen Thomas the Tank Engine. I can't quite remember what even happened.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
I know there is a fat controller.
Yeah.
And I know there is Thomas.
But Percy's the green one, I think.
Or is he red?
The Thomas the Tank Engine movie gets pretty dark at some point.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mitch.
We'll do that in our Halloween special. A little unsettling film.
The darkest kids movies.
That's actually one of the questions I wrote down as the topic, like unintentionally scary films or unintentional. Actually, no, it's games. It's games. That's what we do here. Games.
Yeah. Sorry, I went off on a little tangent there.
Yeah, Jay's looking at us like giving us daggers.
Dora the Explorer used to give me nightmares as a kid.
What?
Dora the Explorer used to give me nightmares as a kid.
Did you not like Swiper?
I just don't think that anyone's parents should be that kind of forgiving for someone. It's basically Pokemon, right?
Don't get me started on Pokemon. Let's not start that discussion.
Is that before the war or after the war in the Pokemon timeline? The war that killed all the fathers? Because, there's no fathers in Pokemon.
That was actually one of my mods that would make me revisit a game. So this is on, it's DS, but I have it on 3DS. And you can modify the ROM. And you can make it so the experience multiplier is like 0. But I mean, it doesn't quite work. But the point, it'll give you 1 XP every time you battle any Pokemon and defeat it. The point is basically you get no experience, and it's the same game, but the challenge is you have to catch new Pokemon in that area and use those Pokemon to defeat the gym leaders and then all the way to the Elite Four. So the point is you don't level up your Pokemon. You have to keep catching new Pokemon in the area. Similar to
like a Nuzlocke run.
Well, yeah, but I mean, Nuzlocke, you get rid of your Pokemon when they faint. Whereas this
it's a similar idea though, just making it a bit more challenging.
Yeah, and that definitely, I still haven't, but that's definitely going to make me revisit.
What the hell is a Nuzlocke run?
Nuzlocke. Google it later. Safe search off. Up to you.
Nuzlocke. you. It's kind of like you have your Pokemon, and if they faint, you have to. What's the word? Discard them? What's the word?
Euthanize.
Kill?
Euthanize. But you put them in the PC box, and then there's like, toss Pokemon.
Discard or something.
Yeah, and you just
I
get
think you
rid of them.
released them, actually. I think you released them into the wild.
Release, that's the word.
Yeah.
So the point
You
is...
release a fainted Pokemon. No,
No,
I'm not getting into Pokemon again. I'm not doing it. It's not happening.
It's kind of like an Iron Man style playthrough, like permadeath.
Yeah.
Why would you do
and
that?
what are the limits? You can only catch
Why
one
would you
Pokemon
bring
in
Tony
a new
Stark
area.
into this discussion right now? I'm still not over that. Why would you do this to me, Louis? Bastard.
Who was it? Whose article was it? Was it yours that I read this morning? And it was like, Marvel's Avengers isn't going to have Spider-Man on the PC.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's definitely going to be a mod that's going to come in, though, isn't it?
That's a good point, actually. Yeah.
They're definitely because
Whether you'll be able to web sling or not.
Sony's obviously they've got the rights, haven't they? So they're
Well,
keeping
it's
it.
not clear exactly how the rights situation played out on that because
Like,
it could have been part of the same negotiations as the film. It could have been part of the talks that resulted in the Spider-Man PS4 game.
because I think it's
We don't really know exactly.
I think Sony still own all of the rights except cinematic.
I think it's the opposite. Sony
Nah.
only the cinematic rights.
No,
But
or
they've-
else the Spider-Man game wouldn't have been the Sony
right, but
exclusive.
that was the result of a separate negotiation that we don't know the exact limits on that. But yeah, it's a complicated situation.
They still make money from him. I think that's all they're concerned about.
Yeah, but it's weird because obviously he's not going to be integral to the story, right? Because
I think that's what they basically admitted. Or they're going
Yeah.
to replace him with some random
I
NPC.
think they'll replace him with a different character for the other.
yeah. Well, I thought it was
consoles.
going to be Spawn on Xbox because there's the Soul Calibur 2 legacy there, where Spawn was the Xbox exclusive Soul Calibur 2 character.
Could be interesting.
Yeah.
There'll be mods there for that. There will be mods there for that, which is getting it back around to the point of this podcast. Just whip that back around. But yeah, there's a lot of mods for me that have made me revisit all games. I mean, the main one is for Fallout 4. So like, I hate Fallout, but as a person who works at a gaming company, I thought I should definitely play it just for the experience of what it's like. The only one I've ever really liked is New Vegas. And Fallout 4 I despised so much that I put my controller down and walked away after about half an hour.
It is my least favourite of the Fallouts. You know.
But then I literally modded the hell out of it so I could do a speed run and just get the grasp of the story, and basically just carried on walking around in power armor for the entirety of the game, and just modded out some power armor. And then I ended up breaking the entire game and like fully breaking my entire save because
I
I'd
don't think
overmodded.
that was your fault.
Yeah, that
That's
might have
just a
happened without the
Bethesda
mods.
thing.
Yeah.
But like I got to a point where I was meeting a girl to go and find an assassin or something, or someone who knew how to get to the people. I don't know. It's so convoluted. I hate it. Like it's just too many branches. Like, but yeah, that made me revisit because it made me be able to speed up the game. And it's the same with Skyrim. Like I've gone back and done Skyrim, actual just speed runs, modded the hell out of. Just like, you know, I've done like magic only speed runs and one-handed weapon only speed runs just because I can turn my power up to 10,000 and go like Goku and just absolutely blast through everybody. And
Is Goku over 10,000 or is he over 9,000?
it's over 9,000, but my Skyrim save is better than Goku, so therefore it's 10,000.
On that, actually, turn-based RPGs like Pokemon, the ability to, like you've said, just speed up and just blast through all that nonsense, and it's like, I just want to focus on...
Yeah, that's what I do on an emulator on my PC.
Just not exactly a mod, but, I mean, you are technically modifying.
I'd say that's a mod. I'd say emulator on a PC and then you mod it so that you get so many candies or you get so many it's like motherload on Sims. Would you class that as a mod?
No, it's a cheat.
But aren't mods just cheats? Aren't they just another form of cheating? Technically, depending on how you use
It feels
a mod.
more like a philosophical question than a technical one.
Yeah. But depending on how you use mods, is that not just a cheat?
Yeah, it depends. Yeah, like you said.
A cheat.
I think it can be. I don't think all mods are cheats.
A cheat is just a mod that the moderators put into the game. There you go. That's quote me on that.
Yeah, modders never prosper as well, right?
I know. Like you were saying about Fallout, actually, and the power armor. I think I was just having it was like the power armor's great, but like every 5 minutes you have to replace the power core. Yeah. I was like, oh, this is nonsense. And I think I got a mod for that. And I was like, yeah, this is just better.
Unlimited power armor.
But on that, actually, there are quite a lot of upcoming, and when I say upcoming, I mean like 5 years off.
Yeah, who knows what the exact schedule is on the release of any upcoming mod.
But the Fallout remakes, so there's Fallout New California, which is that's like an expansion on New Vegas. That would make me revisit New Vegas itself and then play this when it's finished. I don't like playing like half finished mods. And then there's the Capital Wasteland, which is a Fallout 3 remake in Fallout 4, and then Fallout 4 New Vegas, which is a Fallout New Vegas remake in Fallout 4. And I think it's just the same game, but just in the Fallout 4 engine, which is...
Yeah, you're not just describing Bethesda Game Studios here.
Well, they do. Well, they support the same game. They don't...
There's a lot of those, especially like Skyrim, where they take like, you can get Elsewhere and Morrowind and what's it called?
I think some of the GTA games have done that as well, right? Where they bring the old world into the new engines.
Like that. Yeah. That's what everyone's wanting for the next GTA game, isn't it? The merge of every single GTA map into one massive map. And
good luck with that.
Sat there like, good luck to your hard drive. Like, so we're going to end this week's discussion on your dream mod and what you think, what game for a start, and then what mod you'd make should you make a mod. I know, Lewie, you've made a mod.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, I have made a mod, which I'll share a link to in the notes.
We'll put that in the description below.
Yeah, my mod.
Jay hates those words. Put in the description below. Those 5 words are a bane in his life.
So I have one dream mod that is... So it kind of exists, but it's still a work in progress. And there's a few changes I'd like to see if it were to be truly my dream mod. So this is the Resident Evil 4 HD mod. Now, what's really impressive about this mod is, so unlike like the Half-Life HD mod where they've just redesigned it themselves, a lot of the textures in Resident Evil 4 are based on real-world locations where they took photographs and then mapped those onto the textures. What these modders have done is track down all the locations that they did this for in Resident Evil 4 and take more modern cameras so they can get higher resolution photographs of all these original objects. So like they're going around Spain, traveling around Spain and just taking loads of photographs of stuff so that they can put those into the game, which is pretty incredible, right? I've never heard of any other modders doing that.
That's taking modding to the next level. Yeah. That's commitment.
And then so I think they've got it kind of like halfway done already. Like you can already play like the first section of the game with all these redone graphics. But there's one thing they need to change. And in my mind, Resident Evil 4, like probably one of the best action games ever made. Easily one of the best games ever. But there's a glaring fault in Resident Evil 4 that I want to see a mod to fix. And that is, so you can pick up fish in the game as a recovery item, right? Usually there's like a little pond, and if you shoot a fish, you can grab it. And I guess Leon just munches on a raw fish to heal his bullet wounds or whatever.
Sushi, nice. Right.
Don't need to skin it or debone it.
Yeah, exactly. And but unlike other items, so the eggs, if you're in a farm area, you can find an egg. And an egg, again, he just eats a raw egg, and that helps him recover from being bitten on the shoulder by a zombie. But as well as eating the egg, you can throw it, and it blinds a zombie as a weapon. But the fish, you cannot equip as a weapon. And I want a mod for Resident Evil 4 that lets me equip the fish and just beat up zombies with a fish.
Wherever I thought that was going, it was definitely not. I want to whack a zombie with a fish.
Yeah, perfect. There are a few other games that let you use a fish as a melee weapon. You can do it in the new Hitman games. There's a segment in Uncharted 3 where he grabs a fish in a market and just... But Resident Evil 4 doesn't have that option.
I genuinely thought this was going down the route of, I want to be able to like set up a campfire
Yeah.
and cook and be able to do all that.
A true
and,
survival game.
Yeah, like an actual, like bringing stuff like, what's it called? Death Stranding and things like that.
Yeah,
and
survival
merging sort of that sort of concept with it.
No.
Not let me hit a zombie with a cod.
Because right, it is obviously a scary game, but it has the comedic undertone as
It
well.
does, definitely.
And I think that's a big missed opportunity for blending sort of horror and comedy. Just,
Wacky
using
people.
fish as a melee weapon.
Does comedy work well in horror because it's a good juxtaposition?
I think
Yes.
that's exactly it, yeah.
It's like the two faces in drama, isn't it? Like the
Yeah.
two sides is drama and comedy.
But comedy, it
I
can
think
verge
it's
on.
tragedy and comedy
I don't know.
equals drama.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, wait. It's tragedy plus time
So
equals comedy.
drama minus time equals comedy as well.
I don't know. This is,
I'm out.
shit.
Dramatic maths here. Yeah.
But
Tragedy times time. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
when you were reeling off those games with fish that you can equip, I was like, there's potential article there.
Yeah, actually, that's a good top 10
Top 10
games
with
with
fish.
equipable fish as a melee weapon.
Top 10 wackiest weapons. Like, easy.
So, yeah, I don't know if this message will ever get back to these mod developers, but if they're thinking about making any changes other than just the highly authentic recreation of the graphics in higher fidelity, you should also add equipable fish as a melee.
So if you are listening to one of the UK's top 40 gaming podcasts, which is what we are, yeah. Woo. Like, we broke the top 40. We broke the top 40, everybody. Yeah. Thank you. It takes a lot of work to get us in there. It takes none. But yeah, if you're listening to that, Lewie wants equipable fish. Thank you.
In any game, to be honest, but Resident Evil 4 is the main one that stood out to me that needs it, because it's otherwise a perfect game.
It is 99.9% perfect.
Yeah.
It just needs that fish.
So let's just get this straight. You could modify any game ever in any way possible, and it's a good fish. Yeah.
Well, we'll move on to you then, Chris, because you seem
Yeah,
a bit,
what have you got then?
You seem a little bit harsh on that. Like,
Yeah.
what have you brought?
I
to the
can't-
You've got
table?
to back that up with that confidence.
Dreams are individual in fairness. He has his own dreams. I mean, who am I to rain on his parade? If he wants fish. let
You
them
calm
have
down,
fish.
Barbara Streisand. Let's just see what your mod is.
So I couldn't really think of a specific game. So I went...
And yet he's criticising my
How
choice.
dare he?
Right, it's more of a general thing, and it's co-op support. So now there is a thing called Nucleus Co-Op on PC. So split screen was commonplace on consoles way back in the day, like Xbox, PS2 era, and it's less so now, more because the graphical, the amount of horsepower you need to have two different viewpoints going on at the same time just isn't there. But also, I think they're trying to push sales for buy another console, buy Xbox Live, and then you can both play together. And it's
I
like,
don't know if it's just that, because even like local networking play has kind of gone in consoles as well, hasn't it?
yeah, and that's like, it just seems to be forcing that buy another console, buy another game, rather than the way it used to be. You'd sit there with your friend or your relative or whatever, and you'd sit there and you'd
Loved
play a
one.
game,
Anyone.
and then
Sit there with your younger brother with their controller not plugged in.
and you'd get creative if it was competitive. So it's like, I don't know, time splitters or whatever, and it's like, okay, let's put cardboard in the middle of the screen, and let's me on this side, you on that side, and we can't see each other's viewpoint.
It's a shame as well, because modern TVs are perfect for it as well, with the really high resolutions and larger screen size.
Yeah, and I think there's even some, is it 3D TVs where you can actually have them,
Yeah,
you can have
yeah.
two images at once. So it's like you wear these glasses and I wear these glasses, and we can see a full screen thing, and you can see a
But you
different...
don't see each other's
Yeah.
image. Yeah.
But anyway, that seems to have gone now, which is a bit pants. But on PC, split screen was never there because it wasn't the platform for it. PC is like I'm at this workstation.
This is,
whatever, and I'm winning.
1v1 on
Right,
one.
there's a handful of exceptions, but it's very rare, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think like Left 4 Dead, maybe? Is it Left 4
I
Dead?
think Left 4 Dead does have split screen support,
Yeah.
and then
Maybe
there's
one
like
of the Borderlands
the
games
odd
as
Halo.
well?
Yeah, so this Nucleus Co-op actually says it supports all the Borderlands games
Oh,
at
right,
split
okay.
screen. But
So
yeah,
you just want to see co-op across the board.
yeah, I mean, there's certain games where it wouldn't make sense, but
So
Single player games.
Well, say like you got The Witcher.
yeah, like The Witcher, it wouldn't make sense because it's like,
See, no,
are you
I
going to
think
be
that- I think
Geralt and
that'd be
I'm
great.
Geralt?
No, because like one of you can be Geralt and then one of you can be Vesemir, and then you're walking through the countryside, just absolutely beating the pure crap out of all of these animals. But yeah, so co-op.
Yeah, so it's mostly it supports a lot of games at the minute. So like it supports Dark Souls, and I'm like, how does that even work? How can you have co-op in Dark Souls? But it would mostly be for Mirror's Edge. I just want to split screen with my sister, and we'll both run around doing stupid stuff in Mirror's Edge. On Mirror's Edge Catalyst.
So we've had 2 Dream mods.
So does that work by running 2 instances of the game on one
Yeah,
PC?
so it literally just runs 2 instances of the game, then remaps the controller. Yeah. So you do need... I mean, a lot of these games are older, but yeah, you do need like kind of a reasonably powerful PC there.
Yeah. Or I guess that would be, if you wanted to do SLI, that would be like maybe one of the...
If you could have a dedicated card to each game.
I don't know if that would work or not,
But yeah, co-op support. It's halfway there, but there's just some games it won't work on. But the dream is just co-op across the board. I like it. Bringing the community together, Chris. Wow. Makes your fish seem like shit now, doesn't it? More, literally mine was going to be, I want to see Batman Arkham City turned into a neon cityscape.
Oh, like Batman Beyond.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'd want for a mod, and I think that'd take the game to the next level. I think I want to see it turned into like aged future Batman, like in Batman Beyond, just neon cityscape, because they gave us the Batman Beyond skin.
Yeah, but it doesn't
do anything.
really
No.
fit, and it's more like a military outfit. It's not the sort of sleek Batman Beyond suit. You'd think as well, the naming scheme is perfect for it, right? Why is there not a Batman Beyond Arkham? Right, that should be the next game. I mean, maybe it will be.
Arkham Beyond.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I prefer Beyond Arkham.
Well, we'll agree to disagree. And on that note, we're gonna call it a day. So this has been episode 5.
Count them 5.
This has been episode 5 of the WePC podcast. I've been Elliot.
I've been Louis.
I've been Chris.
That's Chris, by the way. Thanks, Mitch. Thanks, Jay. And if you are listening to us on Apple Music, please do subscribe, leave us a review if you like what you're hearing. Same for Spotify, follow us, and Google Podcast, whatever Google Podcast does. I've not used it, and then because
it just does podcasts.
It's just does podcasts.
Yeah,
that's great. And then if you're on YouTube, as Louis said, give us a like, subscribe, comment what topics you want below for us to talk about. Next week, we're going to be talking about battle royales, so stay tuned for that. And thanks for tuning in.